happened to the original New Testament books?
Actually, we have historical evidence that comes from a guy named Eusebius who lived during the time of Emperor Diocletian, who reigned in the late 200s and early 300s. And this guy issued an edict that said, I want churches burned down, priests and clergy killed. I want all copies of the scriptures thrown into the fires. And so Eusebius writes, like, we saw that. We were looking around. We saw the scriptures being thrown into the fires. But prior to that, I mean, just decades prior to that, you had guys like Tertullian saying, hey, the book of Ephesians is in Ephesus. You can go look at it. The Corinthians letters are in Corinth. Thessalonians is in Thessaly. Like, there were people that were saying, we have the scriptures. The Gospel of John was kept in Ephesus. We know that from ancient writings. But during the reign of Diocletian, all of these originals were burned and we lost them.
Lying ass liar. That was such a huge lie with a little bit of truth. Is it true that Diocletian ordered the burning of churches, that he ordered the burning of different manuscripts that were utilized by Christians? Yes. In the late 200s, early 300s, yes. Did Tertullian talk about that there were manuscripts of different what are now gospels or parts of the gospels or writings and letters of Paul were in these different churches? Yes. Paul wrote to the Church of Corinth, and you have 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians. Yes. But you had copies. You had translations. You did not have originals. There were no originals. Even during the time frame of in the 150s, when you had Irenaeus never claimed to have the original writings that he named, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He just gave them those names. Justin Martyr Justin Martyr was in 150. Irenaeus was 180. So let me correct that. But neither of those two, who are both are centuries, a century before you get Eusebius of Caesarea, who is doing his writings, none of those people claim to have the original writings. But what they had were manuscripts in the Latin, manuscripts in the Greek that were at these different churches that were utilized and widely read by people. Now, mind you, this would also be books like the Infancy Gospel of James, the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Nicodemus. These will be many of the books that you do not have in your Bibles. There were many writings that Christians wrote and read. You had the books of Enoch. So there were plenty of writings, but none were claimed to be the original. And it is people like this gentleman who likes to make these bigger, bolder statements based off of a little bit of information and make the leap to say that those were the original writings that were lost. And because Diocletian was such had such intolerance towards Christians, that he's an easy mark, an easy target to blame to blame the Romans for destroying what would have been, or what he's claiming to be, the original writings, when at no point in time has anybody ever claimed to have the originals. When you look at some of these writings, and I'm going to do a long form video that breaks down the time frames of each one of these books, what we have are mere scraps, pieces. We don't have full manuscripts that date back to the 1st century, but just pieces of it. So when you look at these, when you listen to a person like that, you have to be able to dive a little bit deeper beyond what he's saying, not just go for the confirmation bias and say, oh, Diocletian, he got rid of the originals. If it wasn't for him, we'd have the originals. But enough copies were made that were based off those originals that we pretty much have the originals within the copies. That is not the truth. That is just a lie. And that man is a lying ass liar. But tell me what you guys think. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.